Safe. Welcome. welcome. It's part 2 of Team Submarine do GMTK. And we should get straight into it. Here's the list of things we want to do. And there's something I want to add to the list. And it's kind of part of this like Saturday collection of kind of it's this level of priority, but it's add quality of life features to platforming. So we're talking like Coyote Time. I've been playing it a bit, the game, like messing around with it, you know, and yeah, I think like adding some more like satisfaction to the player's experience with the platforming would be tidy, right? So that's kind of a Saturday level of priority. We want to. There's still some moments where the bricks don't spawn properly. I'm not sure how much of a priority this is. I might have a quick think about it for like the first 10 or 15 minutes and see if we can improve things. But I also think it might be a bit of a time sink. Yeah. There's also arguments for it needs to be more efficient. Like 20 loops isn't a huge amount, but maybe it's a jam game, and maybe when people get there, we just say well done, you know, and end it. I'd really like it to be efficient enough for it to be essentially endless, though, because I think that would be more addictive, and that people would, you know, it would just turn more heads if people are like, oh my god, I want to get a high score, you know. Whereas if it just ends and it's like you won, people will be like, okay. So I think there's like a real need for me to probably make things a lot more efficient than they are. Not so much here. I think this bit's fine. It's the fact that every single tiny platform is its own static body. That's surely the problem. The very, very big arrays are probably a bit of a problem too. So, you know, like here, if we take the number of levels in the game up to 40, I think it's pretty horrendously laggy. Oh no, okay, so that's good to see. Maybe we should just try and fill the screen. Just give it a little stress test here, everything we did earlier. I mean, it's already, yeah, we need to like fill some of those gaps. How easy is it for us to do that? Yeah, okay. I mean, it does feel responsive enough that there are occasions when you try and jump on something and you don't get a platform, but it's kind of rare. Like it's, okay, I see that was weird. That was weird again. There are weird bits. It's generally okay, isn't it? I think I need to make a YouTube thumbnail because no one's clicking on this on YouTube. I'm getting viewers on Twitch earlier, but I didn't really get any on YouTube. I think it's because I just have a plain thumbnail. Jack Holly, how you doing, man? You alright? Big ups. Thanks for joining us. Happy Thursday. Okay, so this is gonna get quite epic. We'll just run around here for 10 minutes or something and see like yeah, how ridiculous we can make it, I suppose. Right, how big can we make the planet? And we should probably take a screenshot in a minute, and I'll make a thumbnail out of it to put on YouTube so people can like see a picture of the game to make them click on my face, you know. Oh no, we just snookered ourselves. No, okay, we're out. Okay, good. But yeah, when you're not required to jump, it's obviously a fairly easy game. But you can see just after a few jumps, and especially because jumps tend to come over the areas you jumped last time, because you want to jump the gap rather than fall into it, there is something kind of magical about it. where there's like emergent kind of platforming complexity appears. Like, look, now I've made that harder. Next time we run across that, it's going to be even harder than it was earlier. I don't want to do loads of jumps over here because I'm just trying to see how big a circle I can make before the game starts to lag. And I'll test it tomorrow. Like, I'll make a test build and we'll throw it on itch and stuff. One of those just rendered the wrong color as well. If you look, that's an interesting bug. Again, probably not one that's that important. Yeah, I'm having issues here now, right, with getting a platform up out of that. Oh dear. Yeah, so there are still some, and I know exactly where it is. I know where the weakness in my system is. Like, it was something I wrote and I thought this is going to be scrappy, but maybe it will work, and it is scrappy. It kind of does work, but it is above all scrappy. Just chilling, new game. Yeah, so this is, we're doing the GMTK Jam, which is like the biggest game jam going, I think. There's like about 30,000 people joined or something mad like that. At least that's when I last saw. Now that it's underway, more people might click the button, I suppose. Yeah, look, you get the occasional section like this one. That's the wrong colour. Now, obviously, if you're watching this, you're thinking, what's the threat here? We are going to add enemies. We're going to add things that you have to dodge. And a reason also to move around the planet, to complete laps, is going to get you power-ups and things, right? So right now we're just kind of working on the basic planet building fundamentals of the platforming. But I think this evening I will start adding enemies, projectiles, things to dodge, player health, maybe health pickups, you know, all the kind of classic tried and tested run, jump, dodge. I don't know if we'll have shoot. I don't know if we'll get the player shooting anything, or if it will just be a question of uh-oh. Uh-oh. Whoopsie. Okay. Let's do that once more. But this time not mess it up. The thing that's amazing is you can't even just run around. Like, you have to jump out of the hole. It's annoying that that particular layer is buggy. Like with the running animation. Rob, how you doing? Can God suffocate? Yeah, we need something. You know what I was wondering though? If you should have like an ability to explode yourself. Like, you can self-destruct, or you can maybe just make an explosion around you to make a hole if you need to. So you could blast through a wall you've made previously or something. I don't know. Are these blocks destroyable? Yeah, so I think we want the enemy to be dropping bombs and destroying them, yeah. Yeah, it definitely. The asteroids could almost be flying onto the screen at random, you know? Could be kind of cool. Oh, look, that's where the stars align, literally. And I flipped the sprite, so it must mean, I guess there's a flip in the original sprite anyway. Is there, maybe? I flipped them so I thought they wouldn't align anymore, but that obviously didn't work. Right now I'm just like, Rob, I'm just like stress testing it basically. I want to see how big a planet I can make before it starts to stop running. I also agree actually, yeah, earlier on I was pessimistic, but I think the background rotating like this will be a nice effect. I think it's like coming back to it with fresh eyes. I'm like, oh yeah, it looks fine, and we just need slightly different sprites. I think the way those stars have like that specular thing on them, that's the problem, because we should maybe do those with shaders so they stay always like horizontal and vertical. But yeah, if we make the layers like tactical things, like we can have nebula clouds maybe like in the real background moving the slowest, and layers of stars like maybe behind and in front of those or something. And then up close, you need the layer that's closest to you to be really sparse, right? So that there's only the odd thing going past quickly. So like denser layers at the back and more sparse layers at the front, I think will sell the effect as well. Literally dots problem solved. Yeah. That's I'm for sure agree with that as well, yeah. So basically earlier we were playing to a limit of 20 layers, and I've set it up to 40 layers now, and we're going to try and fill them and just see if it's going to break or not. It does look great though, with the ground just appearing behind you as you run. I think the effect is quite satisfying now. Quite happy with it. And also I'm quite happy with this emergent thing. I didn't even really mean to make these craters. I wanted to keep it as flat as possible. But it's just been the convenient way to get from A to B, is to keep jumping in the same spots, right? So there is this emergent kind of platforming level being created, which is sick. Created my own hazard organically, yeah, without even trying, right? And this is the thing, there's nothing forcing me to jump right now. A couple of asteroids going at the player that forces them to go, oh, wait, hold on, oh, like you do when you play any other normal game, and suddenly, like, yeah. I think there's going to be some good tactics to get involved with. And now the planet's getting bigger and bigger as well. It is exciting. It's got that, how I want to see how big I can make it kind of question. It's going to get people excited. It's starting to take a long time to go round, and also the frame rate's starting to drop now. And if the frame rate's already dropping now, by the time we're playing this in browser and on someone else's like potato laptop, okay, well, I accidentally trapped myself, but I kind of answered my own question there. It's a lot of entities. What about... Oh, it's hard to know, isn't it? We kind of want a system where we delete the ones that are inside. Like any... Oh no, but we need to reinstate them when we destroy them again as well. I think what we need is a system where we only render the ones that are going to be... Yeah, that's what we need. We need to like store in our array, which we already have, luckily, the data, and we just need a system for loading and unloading these tiles. So if we kind of came like this, and if we zoomed out, what you'd see is only these ones here actually loaded, and all of these entities, like all the fucking loads of them here, they all need to just not be there when they're not required to be rendered. Is there some even easier Godot hack, I wonder, where I can, without having to actually queue free and then reinstantiate them, can I just sort of switch them off? I wonder if there's something like that that would be even easier. We need really satisfying sound for the ground placement. Oh yeah, sound design's so important, huh? Oh yeah, let's make something that looks cool for a YouTube thumbnail, because I want to put a thumbnail on it just so that people click on it slightly more than they have been. I used to like always put loads of time into making YouTube thumbnails. I haven't made one in time. But we'll just do something rough and ready. Just a picture of what the game looks like. So we'll make something that looks a bit interesting here. It's a shame because we're right next to the spot where the stars all align, which looks a bit crap. Okay, we'll go round it once more, and then come back to that location, and it should look good. I'll fall down a hole like that. There we go. That's a YouTube thumbnail, isn't it? I think what I want to do is make it 200% bigger. And then so what would 1920 look like there? Yeah. Okay, so we won't quite do that. What we'll do is we'll take the whole thing and move it over a bit to like that, so you see the edge on that side, and then we'll bring this to 1920. Nice. And then probably bring this up somewhere where it's framed a bit nicer like that, and then get this to 1080. That'll do. Surely more people will click on that than on the Dankenstein logo on its own. Okay, we got a thumbnail. Okay, people, we got a thumbnail. Right. Where were we? Okay, so I think we should tackle this right now. So, brick loader. We'll call it a brick loader. And then if I just have a little Google, making nodes sleep Godot 4. It is a little bit of a complicated problem. I'm just thinking because at the beginning, because the camera's centered around the player, that's essentially a moving target. So the loading and unloading of the bricks, actually it makes sense if proximity to the player is the thing. We have to draw this box around the player, or around the camera, I suppose. And it's a moving target. The bit we load is the bit, it has to move with the player. So that's one thing to consider, because the player basically, as the game goes on, the player moves upwards in the y-axis, and the core, everything's rotating around the origin. So there's that. Other than that, the mechanics of it shouldn't be too tricky, except for, I guess, the fact that like we can't loop through every single one of them all the time. We could do like a small portion of them each frame, because it would be acceptable for like the process of loading and unloading them in to take a second if we were doing it with enough of a buffer, right? So maybe you could just loop through them all to check their position and see how close to the player they are. But it seems like a bad way of doing it. I suppose what you do is you go, because they do have coordinates, we can work through them systematically. So we can take the t value, the theta, which I've been calling t. We've got basically, instead of x and y, we've got x and y for our regular coordinates, right? And then we've got r and t for our polar coordinates. And so we'd start in the t-axis, I think. We'd say, we'd take the position of the player, which we have in r and t coordinates somewhere in the player's script. We do have that, don't we? It's where we spawn the brick, no? rpos and tpos there. It strikes me that these might be better off being actual proper variables rather than just living inside the if not is on floor else bit. But I suppose we only need them when you're not on the floor. Okay, so let's talk this through. Just to get my head around it. Right. Okay, so here it is. Here's the plan. We will start from the player's position. Well, we know everything within a certain radius of the player is just going to definitely be on the screen. We could probably skip the first however many. But for argument's sake, I'm going to write this down, yeah? We start with the player don't hold on a minute. The player might not be at the highest layer. That doesn't matter. We start with the player's T value, which is not the layer that the player's on, like going like away from the circle, but it's like which slice it's in. And we take the T value and then we find, I think we need to know where the highest layer is and just start from there, working downwards would be the most efficient way. So I guess we need to count that. We count the highest layer that's been like built on, and then starting at the highest layer, we check all the T values until we hit 0, and at the point that we hit 0, yeah, we still need to check the other side of the circle, probably. No, wait, it's okay. No, we don't. So starting at the highest layer, we check all the T values. We loop, highest level, we loop the T. We loop through T, right? So then check they are on screen. And then we do like T minus 1, T plus 1, T minus 2, T plus 2, etc. until we hit a wait. We don't loop through T, we loop through R, which is count the highest R that's been built on. Starting at the highest R, we loop through R and check they're all on the screen. Then we like loop R for those ones like that, going out from the, so basically we'll check the middle bit and then we'll check the two there and then we'll check those and then check those and then check those, and we'll go all the way around the circle, and anything that's off the screen can be destroyed, or like not on the screen, but like we'll have an even bigger area, we'll have a buffer, but anything that's in the area where we want it rendered, we'll create it if it's not there, and anything that isn't there, yeah, that doesn't fall under that thing, we'll just queue free it. And then until we hit a T value where all R is off screen, then we can stop. And we'll know, because we're going symmetrically from the middle, if there's enough of a buffer, we'll know when that one's all off that this one must be all off too, and so we can just stop and just delete everything else. I think that works, right? Yes, Pete, how you doing? Just had a wild idea. What if the audio track loop point changes with each cycle? Like hearing more of the song each time. So the further you progress in the game, the more of the song you get to hear. A record skip type effect. Yeah, okay, that's cool. The planet being a record, yeah, a growing record. Yeah, what I'm doing now is basically going to build a brick loader and unloader. That's what this is going to be. So the player will still create bricks just like they always did. New bricks will come into existence with this, and then there'll be another system just checking the border the whole time for anything it needs to delete. Oh wait, hold on, that's the point. We just need to check around the border. This whole looping thing is way too cumbersome. Don't we just need to check the border? We have a certain zone where anything that exists in there, if it's off, we turn it on, and if it's on, we turn it off. Does that make sense? No, things will just flicker in there. That doesn't make sense. It's about like how they're moving through it. I guess you have two zones. You have looping through them. Maybe it doesn't need to be done. There's the screen. Okay, that's like the playable area, and then I think we'll leave that black. That's what you can see. And then we'll have this zone where anything that is off should be switched on. And it will be like there. So anything that's off in this area will be turned on. And then, paint, man. And then you have this area. And anything in this area that is on will be turned off. So then that way, when things are off and they're coming on screen, they'll stay off, they'll get turned on, and they'll come on screen. And then these things will come off screen and they'll stay on. And if the player goes backwards, then they'll still be on. Blah, blah, blah. And then, but when they go to here, they'll be turned off again. But the only way they can come back on the screen is by coming back through that line and being turned back on again. So that's it. That's how you do it. And then we only need to check anything that falls within those lines. Does that make sense? The question is, how do we go iterate through those lines? Well, I guess we can say we know what the smallest tile is, so that could be the increment, and we just check all the points around this box, and then we check all the points around that box. And then the other thing is that we may want to stagger that over the course of, like, that doesn't have to all happen every frame. We could check half the points one frame, half the points the next frame. You know, like, the player's not going to be moving so fast that these things are going through these locations in under 2 frames. Is this an optimization thing? Yeah, exactly, like a brick loader and unloader. Because you know, at the moment, yeah, we have like all these bricks. I mean, like, I got one going and it was absolutely enormous, like this, you know, and it was running very slow. And it's kind of just, I zoomed out and I was thinking, this is crazy because there's this tiny bit of the screen that we can see. It's just like Minecraft chunks, isn't it? You just, you unload the stuff that's too far away. But I'm just thinking about thinking about the most efficient way of doing it, because I definitely think it will be important for it to be endless. That will add so much more addictiveness to it than if there's some technical limitation like, oh, we can only go 20 levels and then it runs too slow, so we just say, you know, you win at 20 levels, which I briefly considered, and then I was just like, no, that's dumb, it needs to go forever. So I think I want to get this done now, tonight. But so let me revisit this. We don't need to loop through everything from the player outwards. I think that is unnecessary. I think we can just write a script that just checks locations, and we just have to implement those 2 rules. Anything that is in this area, if it's off, turn it on. Anything that's in this area, if it's on, turn it off. That's it. I think that's it. We just write a script that constantly does that. And by turning it on and off, what I mean is Q freeing the brick. And then we need to add one back in. And here's the kicker. When this thing spawns them, it should also immediately activate them. But we've got a function for that already. I think this is going to be quite quick. Who should do this? The core should do this. The core has all the bricks as its children. But we don't know which brick is which. We don't know which brick is which. But we could with the grid state. Because the grid state, instead of being true or false, could be null or a brick. And then we hold the reference to it inside this existing array. Okay, so we'll do that, which means that when the bricks are spawned, they need to be assigned to the correct location. And we're just using grid state, I think, literally to not make duplicates, for the player to not make more and more and more of them on the wrong spot. So instead of that being false, it'll be null. And then instead of that being false, we'll say null. And then we need to put this action into the spawn brick function instead, because we'll have the brick, we'll have access to the brick in here. And we can say core grid state there, oh, but we don't have these. Oh, we have passed rpos in because we needed that for something else, so we'll just pass the tpos in with it, and we'll say equals brick. We'll just put the object in, or a reference to that object inside the array, and then we'll add tpos there. I think I want to tidy up the player's physics process as well and put some of these different functions into different functions. Might do that in a minute. So now let's just check it still works. That shouldn't have changed anything. We're just checking, instead of checking true or false, we're now checking is there a brick in the array or not. And it seems to just work exactly the same as it did. Yeah, we're not losing frame rate or anything yet, are we? Still fine. Just wondering if it runs any slower because of this array being full of objects instead of just like true or false, you know? Seems to be manageable, and we would already be getting efficiencies now. We'd already be getting blocks taken out, basically. There'd be ones we can't see now. That looks bollocks. It looks cool, doesn't it? I think the sky does look a lot better than I thought from earlier as well. Pardon my language. That's all right. I agree. We're not kids show. It's all good. Although I don't think swearing is that bad for kids either. While I'm on the subject. Player sheet ready. Ooh. Excellent. Okay, so. Is it in Discord? Oh no, send it to me on WhatsApp, innit? Yeah, boom. Okay, I'll keep an eye out. Right, so let's continue this this optimization thing, because this is exciting. Okay, so now that we have a reference to the brick, what we need to do now is to create some kind of a loop. So I guess the core should do this. The core has the data and it has the children. So I wonder what the correct way of doing this is, because we'll need to maybe create a temporary variable that we assign the brick to, so that we can then set the position in the array to null and then destroy the brick. Maybe, I don't know, we'll have to experiment. I don't even know exactly how those kinds of specific things will work, but we'll find a way that makes it work, hopefully. And so, yeah, I think basically now the core needs a process. I don't think it needs to be in the physics process, because we can just do it every rendered frame rather than every like simulated physics frame, if I understand the difference between the two correctly. And then I guess we just need some locations like we need to define what that area that we're checking is, and that, like as discussed, is a moving target, so that will come from the player. Which means that the core just needs to grab the player's position, so we'll just do that. I think I want to put these there. Export variables makes sense to go at the top, I think. And then, so we'll say we've got the reference to the player, so relative to that we want to check a box. If we're 1280, what we need like a third kind of state to put in here, maybe just the word sleeping. So we just put a string in there that says sleep and then if it finds one with words with sleep in the state, then it wakes it back up, but if it finds one with null, it leaves it as null, right? That makes sense. So just thinking how we loop around the player's position, and what size these boxes are going to be. So it's 1280 by 720, and our biggest bricks get the segment width over 20. What's the biggest segment width that we can give it? Well, we have a minimum, don't we? We have the minimum segment width defined in the core thing already. Segment minimum base length is 25. So the smallest ones are 25. So, and they're all taller than that. So if we checked on a 20 by 20, if we did every 20 pixels, nothing could get past that. So we only need to check every 20 units, I think, is the first thing. And because they can be 48 tall, and they can be quite a bit wider than that, which will probably give it like what, like a maybe 100 pixel buffer. So let's say that we want to sort of look at, instead of 1280, we want to be looking at like 1480 by 920 for the first layer. Well, let's try doing 1430 as well, and like what would it be, like 870. Let's try every 50, because if they're only 48 tall, in theory this is enough. Now, I could put these as like variables somewhere. Maybe we'll just build it like dirty for now. So the way to do it will be to loop through dividing these by 20. So I guess they need to be rounded up to the nearest 20, both of them. No harm in the box being a little bit bigger. What just happened then? I just accidentally leant on something. So that actually needs to be 880. Which means that one's increased by 60. So maybe we should just go up to 1500 and 940. So then it's like 2 steps of 60 pixels. And then we are divisible by our 20, which is a number that we think is safe enough there and gives us some wiggle room. We have 2 different stars with no shiny tails. We also have a nebula and the player sheet. Woo! Okay, nice. Sendy, and I'll chuck them in, man. That's exciting. Okay, so let me just put these in a comment somewhere for now, just so that I don't go crazy. And then it's going to be like 1440 divided by 20 is 72. So that equals like, so 72 by 880 divided by 20. It's 44. Okay, this is kind of obvious because we're just halving it and taking away the 0, right? So that's 75. And that one's 46. 47. So that's the actual loops that we need to do. We need to do like, and it's twice over. 72 points on the left, 72 points at the top, 72 points at the bottom, 44 points on the left, 44 points on the right. And then, yeah. And we'll just center them around the player. Should be totally fine. Okay, so Let's try and do it in one big loop to begin with. I suppose 4 big loops, isn't it? It's like 4 lines that we need to be checking the whole time. Okay, so for point in 72, I suppose the first thing is we need to actually get the position of the player, and then sort of define therefore where these lines start from, like the origin of these lines. Yeah. So we say top left equals player global position minus the vector of like half of this. Right, which is going to be the top left. And we'll call that top left in, and then var out. Actually, we put the in and out at the beginning. Out top left. So that what that means is like that's the top left of the rectangle where things get loaded in, and this is the top left of the rectangle where things get loaded out. And it's going to be like the same kind of story, except like we're halving those, so it's like 470. And then for those 72 points, hold on, except we only need to do 71 of them, because we don't need to do all the corners 4 times over. Is that correct? Or is we're gonna end up with some like out by 1 error? Is it safer to just do the whole thing? Let's just do the whole thing for now. Fuck it. This whole thing's gonna make the game a lot more efficient, I hope. Safe, Rob, where are those files? Oh, you've chucked them in Discord. Nice. I see them now. Sick. Oh my god, yes. Player looks so good. Okay, right. Give me 2 shakes. We're gonna... Yeah, these look wicked. Okay, cool. Well, yeah, we'll have a play with those in a moment. I think I can get this working quite quickly now, though. So for those 72 points, we're going to say top left plus 20 times point, because we're doing it every 20 pixels. So we'll add that, and point will be 0 at the beginning, so we'll just do the actual first top left corner. That's the position to check, and we will check that in the same way that we check what's somewhere with the player. Doesn't the player check this stuff? Or have we not done it that way round before? Where we're converting a real life location. No, yeah, we're doing the opposite. We can take the... Oh no, yeah, we're taking the player's real life position and putting it into the grid, aren't we? That's exactly what we're doing here. So it's this math here. I'll just copy that. So for each of these points, we want to work out these three things, actually. Do I have the dimensions of each tile? The tiles are roughly 20 to 30 pixels wide and 48 pixels tall. And slightly deformed, but like that's the rough size. If you wanted to make a texture for me to throw on it, I think do them like that, and that'll be fine. Sort of like maybe, yeah, 20 pixels by 48, or maybe go 30, so that they don't look stretched. Do 30 by 48 actually. So 30 along the base, 48 high. Yeah, perfect. And then, yeah, any particle effects would be sick. I can add particle effects in the engine as well, of course. But yeah, if you want to do like any animations and stuff, that would be sick. And just make a few different layers, right? I think they should just have basic textures on, like stone and mud and stuff. But it does look very clean at the moment. I know what you mean. So this doesn't work because core is the thing, but that's nice because it's the thing. So we can just, anytime it says core, we can just say no. We just want to look at your things. So that gives us that will give us the position. I need to think about this a bit more, actually. The other thing that would be really cool, Rob, is if you made a nice core, because the core I made is just a scribble. I don't understand this. The function signature. Oh, it's supposed to take delta, isn't it? Of course. Right. Got it. Now, this is subtly different because what we were doing in this case with the player is we were checking the player's position. And we're basically just assuming the T position to where what rotation it's at, what center point are we on. But we're looking at some arbitrary location that isn't necessarily that. Yeah. There's still something wrong because that's just so in top left dot X, right? Because we're going to be moving along the X-axis there. Point position equals a vector 2, where the X point is that, and the Y point is just the regular Y point of the top left. I've got 3 errors. Is this now gonna run at least? The core also has a radius of 144 pixels, or a diameter of whatever it is, 288. But yeah, I don't know. I think if the like actual bits were like if the core looked really wicked and then every layer had a nice texture on it, like I think that would look really good. But they can be quite subtle textures. You know, like mostly like a certain block of color or whatever, or a certain pattern or a certain like feel. But it would be cool to like fade from one to the other, layer to layer. But it depends how many textures we can make and stuff, and then whether we make like 5 different textures and then I assign each of those 5 to 10 layers or something. I don't know, we could work it out anyway. Or maybe we could loop through them. We could have different layers and loop through them, so the layers constantly change as you go up, you know. Or I think Pete even suggested this yesterday, that the texture is defined by what number block it is that the player's created. So the player makes 300 stone ones, and then they make 300 mud ones, and so on and so forth. So the layers would become more intertwined with each other. I think choose which block, and there was a puzzle element. No more mechanics. But yeah, those layers sound great, like lava, rock, earth, grass, water, snow. Sounds good. Declare but never used, declare but never used, declare but never used. Fine, yeah, okay. Okay, I'm gonna do this for 15 more minutes and see if I can get it working, and then if not, we'll do something else. But I think we're quite close, because we now know this position of this point, yeah? Wait, hold on, no, because it is totally different. I need to get the distance from this point, the R position, instead it needs to be the distance from that point to the origin, rather than just like the Y. So it's a distance to thing, which I think is easy to do. So we say point position dot distance to, and then another vector to 0 to the origin. Yeah, that's gonna be the correct, because we just had minus your global position Y. Which is making it into a positive number to reflect the distance from the origin. Does distance to always return a positive like value, I wonder? I'm guessing so. I think the stars look best when they're blurred when moving, when they're almost in sync. So we have two layers sync perfectly when you're stationary and slightly out of sync when moving to suggest speed and blur. Unless we could use a shader to give it speed trails, that might be cool. Okay, yeah, okay, like a blurring thing does sound cool because it makes you feel like it's like that light speed thing, isn't it? That light speed effect from Star Trek and Star Wars and shit, when all the stars go blurry. Alright, so I think we've got the R position there. Grid data, R position, size, gives us the number of segments in that. And then the T position is really so much more complicated. Because we need to take into consideration what rotation this guy is at. But it's not just... It's here, right? Where we minus pi 2, that's because we know that the player is always 90 degrees this way from the origin. So that's the part where I'm saying we know what angle the player is from 0. It's whatever the rotation of the thing is minus the player's actual position, which is pi. That pi divided by 0 represents the player's position when we stole this code from the player. So we want the angle in there in radians. And I think there's one called angle 2. Wait, hold on. I think I looked at the wrong angle 2. There we go. Returns the signed angle to the given vector in radians. Ah. That's correct, I think. Oh no. Angle to point is what we want. Because that's going to be the angle to that location. Returns the angle between the line connecting the 2 points and the x-axis. Okay, I think we've just got to start trying something here. So angle to point that, and then if I do this plus 880, then we're doing the bottom line, yeah? And this is the line that will load stuff in. So we say if grid state rpos tpos equals sleep, then we need to like, let's just print make for now, just to see if it works. And oops. The other option I wonder as well is if we could make the tiles animated themselves. That could be cool. That lava looks wicked though. I'm into that. Sorry, right. We will get to adding the art very, very shortly. I just feel like I'm on a roll with this now. We're nearly there. So it's setting that to, if we're saying if it's asleep, then we're going to make something new. But the other thing we're going to do is check the one where we delete them, which is going to be like basically identical situation, except it's going to be for the points in 75. It's top left x blah blah, and that's going to be plus 940 instead. Then we work out all the stuff based on that point, and then if is in group, can we do an is in group on whatever that is? Brick, save, make the brick be in a global group called brick. Right, so then it's like, if there's a brick there, then I don't know, can we just go var temp equals that, and then we can say that equals null and temp equals, or temp.q3. I don't know, this doesn't feel like it's gonna work. I'm worried as well that if I just basically q3 the thing, if it is a brick, well, let's see. So before I start, okay, we're gonna get an error straight away. Okay, you can't check is in group on something if it's null. So what if we just say if it does not equal null, or and it does not equal sleep. Oh, also we want to make this equal sleep, not null, and then we q3. I mean, can we do it without this temp thing? I don't know. If we just q3 it, presumably if we q3 the thing that's stored in there, then the thing that's stored in there would become null, and then we just set it to sleep, and that should be fine. Go on, run. Okay, the game's running. We're making bricks. That's good. Let's zoom out the camera a bit so we can see what happens when we get off the screen here. We get an error. Damn it. Okay, so it's because it's checking an object to see if it's equal to a string. So this is where like just having different types isn't the one. But yeah. I mean, what if it's just a 0? Can we check if an object is equal to 0 or not? I'll just see if it crashes. Yeah, just gonna crash the same way. Object and int, yeah. Okay. So we can't check is in group. I think this is gonna work. It's just my own inexperience with like the data structure that's fucking me over. Like, what's the way to do this? I don't want to just have to create an empty class to put in there just so that they're all the same type. But I need to store a reference to the thing in order to kill it, which I hope that's going to work. That might not work. Like, it might be one of these things where what we actually have to do is tell the brick to kill itself and to do so on the next frame, and then we can set the variable to something else, and that, you know what I mean? Like, that's probably going to be a bit jiggery pokery to do, but that's fine. We'll get there. Out top left is declared but never used. Ah, ha ha ha. This should be out top left there. That's good. And so should that be out top left, not in? That's a really important thing. Thank you for the... I could have been staring at that for a long time. So here we're saying if it's not null and if it's not 0. So then can't we just say up here, as long as we're just always checking for what it's not, it's never going to give an error. It's just going to be like, yeah, you're right, it's not that. Right? So if we say if it's not equal to null, and it's not can we do like is of type or something? I don't know what the hell that is talking about. This is a very specific page I'm on. That is the wrong page. Because I don't even know how to say if it's not a brick. If it's not already a brick. Man, I'm stumped. And I know there's some basic bad practice that I'm just doing here. Like, do I really have to just make like empty little objects that go in there that are just like just an empty class? Can't I just say dot type and then say string or something like this? Type string. I wonder if that's gonna work. Ugh. Okay. Same problem because we can't check the type of a null object. Wow. Okay, so we just need to keep some kind of sleeping object in there then. Let's just try that then for now. Okay, now. So what we'll do, in brick, we'll just make a new script called sleeper. Okay, and the sleeper will just be sleeper. And it just does absolutely nothing. That's all it does. is just be a class. And then if it's a sleeper, then do make. Is that going to work? Okay, it didn't crash immediately, so it doesn't mind checking things. So now, can we just give it that? Just put sleeper in there. Or do we need to say like sleeper.new maybe even? Try it without having to make something extra. So if it's not null and it's not a sleeper, then it's a brick. So get rid of it and make it a sleeper. I think this might work. Famous last words, obviously. It will crash when we get a few layers up and they go off the screen and they start needing to be interacted with. Or it will just work. It works because they're being destroyed, right? But it's posting make. Like it wants to make new ones. Okay. Yeah. This is good. That looks like it's working. And then we just need to actually make the new ones again. So if it's a sleeper, I guess the core also needs the ability to make bricks. So we steal this. And we probably just want to steal spawn brick from the player. Pop that down here. Oreo, yes, how you doing? Big up yourself. Pardon me. You can just add child. You don't need to do it to the core. We are the core. We are the core. Okay, and then we need to feed it the exact position of said node, segment width, and its R and T positions. So that's not trivial, but that's fine. Oh, and these ones need to just be immediately activated. So then we also, in core's version of this function, we just activate it straight away, because it's not like underneath the player. It's not one that's been spawned by the player. It should just immediately grow and be. So now we just need to make sure this guy has all the information it needs. And so let's look at where the player calls spawn brick. We just literally take the grid data. Which we've got. I think seg width is probably the only one that we don't have. It's funny we're feeding the R and T pos in when they're already in there, in that grid data. But I suppose we're using them as indexes there, but we actually need them separately there. Right, so then it's just the segment width, which we're not yet calculating there, which we could do here. And we do need to check that for each thing, so I think we just have to put that there. Get rid of references to the core, because we are the core. I mean, if this works now, I'll be very, very, very satisfied with myself. Let's see. I'm expecting unforeseen problems. Let's see if it just starts working. Can you imagine? Okay, well, I can't actually tell if it's working, but I think it is. But I think maybe it's kind of like doing it at the wrong rotation somehow. Like we're not looking at the right places to do it, but we are kind of loading and unloading things. It seems like it's the bit that we're loading and unloading is rotating, which makes sense because this whole thing itself is rotating, but we want to be looking at those positions like according to the screen. At the moment I've only set up the bottom, like the bottom barrier here. We want it to not be rotating with the thing, but it's clearly rotating with the thing. Pete sent me some shaders. All right, we'll get to doing a little bit of art thing anyway. That looks quite interesting as it is. Yeah, not the effect we want though. Maybe if I don't zoom out, it'll become a bit clearer that it's not working correctly. But the line is rotating around, so it's always like at the same bit of the thing. So why is that? Because I'm taking the player's global position. Yeah, but we're like calculating things like distance to and stuff all inside the rotating guy. Oh man. Okay. Okay, let's update the player. Let's make the player look like put the new sprite sheet in. Just gonna do something different for a second. Okay, nice. Got the new sprites here. So, idle first. Delete all the Aqua Boy. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 on the vertical, 4 on the horizontal, yeah? Okay. Jumping, is that a landing there? Should be 8. 8 for run, 8 for idle, 4 for jump, and 8 for landing. Okay, so that is all landing there, and then this is idle. Whoops. Run, jump, land, idle. Yeah, okay. Got it. Oh, okay, it's like a different shape somehow, is it? Yeah, Aqua Boy was like standing somewhere in the middle of this box. This guy's right at the bottom of it. Okay, well that's fine. So that's just an offset value over here, isn't it? Offset needs to be like minus 40 maybe instead, or minus 48. Okay, cool. Done. Idle's there. Let's have a look at it. That's pretty good. Yep. Happy with that at 5 frames a second, I think. Like any faster is probably just going to be kind of weird looking. Go with 7 or something maybe. Yeah, okay, 7. Fall does not need to be a default animation. But we can do fall next. And it's going to be those 2, I guess. Actually, I think you want it to be all 3 so that when we... Yeah. Yeah. So we're going to do that. And then delete those. It's not... It's too slow. Because we've got twice as many frames. We'll double the speed. That should be good. Maybe we'll go for 5 then. Yeah, okay, cool. And then jumping is just going to be that first frame. That one. And then run. It's going to be... Was it the first ones? Yeah, that looks good at 12 still. Okay, and then we'll save. Pretty sweet. So we probably just need to hack in some way of like reversing the rotation. Whatever rotation the core is at, we just like subtract that from that point in the script. So fuck knows exactly when we need to do that though. It's going to be a pain in the ass, but I wonder if we just move all of this functionality into the player's script, because the player isn't rotating around and the player can just query spaces. Should I change that 4 frames for jump? I don't know what you mean. Looks good to me. I think it looks great. I'm going to come back to this again. Let's do more art for a minute because... yeah. Okay, so we've got some cool backgrounds. I'm going to get rid of Aquaboy out of this project now as well, because I don't think there's any references to it yet. And then go back into the game. Background 1. Can be the nebula. Yeah, I guess that's a bit much. Also, this nebula texture still has the like lines on it, those stars. Oh no, maybe it doesn't. Maybe that's the. Sorry, no, it doesn't. That's this, isn't it? That's just the nebula there. Okay, fine. So with this, what do we do with that one? Maybe for now, we'll keep those with the 2 stars layers on, the ones that actually loop that I've already built. And then what we'll do is with the nebula, we'll just put a sprite in called background 3 maybe, and it will just be the nebula. And then if we use the offset, its origin will still be, so let's put it like something like there, so we start right next to it, and then we'll have to make that rotate as well. And then obviously let's start calling these things something, and let's make a node for them all to live in called universe. Let's just actually call it background, it's easier. Let's put these guys in there so that this can just be called background. We'll say stars 1, stars 2. Get rid of that underscore there, she's probably fine. Right, and then this nebula, you see it's if we come into its transform now and rotate it, see it rotates around the middle. Perfect. Okay. Now the background should have a color rect, which can be BG, and that can be here, and that can be something cool, probably something in that region, very dark, slightly blue. Just make it fucking enormous, as big as these stars are at least, which I believe was actually 5,000 by 5,000 minus 2,500 minus 2,500. Yeah, no, none of those work, but it's a very, very busy sky. Oreo has returned, safe. Welcome. Big up yourself. But yeah, these obviously not working because these references no longer like properly exist. So I think the BG we don't need, but these 3 we all want to be able to move around from the player script. So nebula stars 1 and stars 2, and this can be stars 1. Oops. That can be stars 2. And then like the nebula should maybe move the slowest of all. So it would be like actually further down the line here, you'd go like nebula rotation, like divided by 10, say. I know what keeps happening. I've realized I clip the return key on the side of the numpad with my thumb as I go to put it on the mouse. It's very sensitive. Yeah, oh yeah, look, I don't, it's actually, the key is like misfiring. I don't even need to press it. I can just wiggle it and it shoots. That's why I keep getting random returns in that I don't want. Okay, let's see this. Yeah, it's great. So I think they look cool. It's just the darkness could be darker for a kickoff. This is not as dark as it looks, so let's make it darker. That's a bit better. I think it could go more still, like almost black. Is great. And then yeah, that should be like distant and blurred maybe. I think the thing is what we need is different levels of sparsity. They're kind of all sparkling, which is nice. I really like sparkling actually. I think it's just I'm not sure why exactly. Keeping size, that's just what we should do, right? Oh, these are flipped, but they don't need to be anymore because they're two different layers. But yeah, I think that the ones in the front need to, the row that's closest to us needs to be very sparse. Slow the closer layer. Now the way I imagine it, the closer ones move the fastest, but they need to be sparser because there's going to be less stuff that we can see close by, and there's going to be loads of stuff further away, right? The further away into space you go, the more and more and more and more there is out there. But stars that are near to you are going to be bigger and brighter and fewer. So I think that's the main thing, is like take one of them. Like, wait, hold on, let's do an experiment here. Stars 1 is moving the fastest. So stars 1 is the one that I want to maybe try and edit. Ah, hold on though. Let me open up stars 2 as well. So stars 2 is the brighter one. Okay, so stars 2 should probably be stars. Yeah. Just change these numbers. 6, 3, 6, 3. And then we just move the nebula to the front of the stack here, so it just still feels like it makes sense. I'll move the core to the end of the line. Okay, so now stars 2 are the ones moving the fastest, and then we should just basically slow it right down. Okay, we'll try that as well, but let's just like do this quickly. Yeah, so leave like the brightest ones on. Get rid of all the darker bits here. Try that, maybe even like that. Yeah. Okay, and then what I'll do is I'll save as, and we'll just call it stars 2A. Okay, boom. And then stars 2, go stars 2A instead. Is that even actually different? I think it is. It's still just way too much though, isn't it? So I think the texture maybe needs to sort of be like, you know, 4 times the size maybe, but with only that number of stars in that amount of space. Way too fast. Okay. So if we double all of these, then try it like that. The slower they go though, the more it's going to look like we're not actually moving. So is the nebula rotating the wrong way? Or maybe it's just kind of barely rotating. It is going the right way around, isn't it? Eventually. All the like things loading in and out are crazy. Okay, cool. Backload to not move at all. But the thing is, if you were on a planet, if you were doing this in real life, it would all be rotating exactly, like it would all just rotate. Everything would rotate perfectly with no parallax at all. I think when it starts to get too slow, it does start to feel like this thing is spinning rather than he's running. So you kind of need a layer of stuff that's moving at the same speed as the thing. It isn't real life, but it needs to look real to look good. It needs to like feel right, you know? And like a lot of that comes from like the experiences we have in real life. Oh shit, why have those loaded in the wrong size? That's interesting. There's some bugs in how they're being reintroduced into the mix, presumably because we're looking at the wrong rows, because like, yeah, the coordinates are all scrambled slightly, right? It does kind of look cool though, with them moving. I know what you mean about it, like it needs to feel right? It doesn't need to actually be accurate. Maybe it does feel alright. Leave it for a bit and come back to it maybe. Satellites. I don't know, I feel like I need the fast moving stars to sell the rotation. Because these stars are moving so slowly now, it feels like something's twisting, like we're in a vortex, rather than feeling like the camera is moving around because this guy's running around a circle. Whereas when everything rotates at the same speed, like if we just take off these divisors, then everything just goes together. It feels really flat, right? but it definitely feels like the character is running around a circle now. And that doesn't feel uncanny valley to me. That feels like, oh yeah, he's running around a circle. And actually, with the way we've set up the background now, it doesn't feel as flat as it did earlier, having them all just rotating together. And maybe, like Pete says, what we actually need is motion blur rather than parallax. Because if they were blurring when we moved, and then like when we stopped they were slowing back down again, that might just be what we need. And maybe we could do the motion blur different on different layers, but keep them all moving the same. Because right now I feel like we've got back the sense that he is running along a surface rather than him running on a rotating treadmill, which is kind of what it felt like before. Worry about it being nauseating to look at. Yeah, that's a fair point. But maybe that just means we need, you know, more focus on the foreground elements anyway. It is after all just the background. So we could sort of make it more opaque and things. Anyway, let's come back to that, and let's go back to, I want to get the loading and unloading of these bricks done. And I wonder if we need to convert all of this over into a script on the player, and just have the player load everybody in and out, because the player has the camera on it and the player is not rotating all over the place, which does make it easier to just conceptualize what we're doing. You know what I mean? Right, but what happens if we have the slower layer on top of this? On top of what? On top of the still. On top of the ones that just go at full speed. I don't know. Anyway, hold on. Let me fix this thing. So the good thing is we can just use spawn brick again, which is already in the player's script. Maybe we put this in its own script though. Maybe this is the way to do it. So we have the core there, we have the player, we've got the background. Let's put in another node that's called brick loader, and it can come up here next to the core, and it can have a script on it in I guess we put it in the brick folder, right? It's script, or maybe in the core. Okay, and then this script will know about the core, it will know about the player, and yeah, it will do all this stuff that we had the core script doing before. But crucially, this node will not be rotating around itself. It will be still. The core will be rotating, and it will not. It will just exist at the origin, which is also going to be nice, so we can just replace global position or whatever. And so then that gets rid of that, and all of this mess here can also be cut and put into brick loader. Okay, now not half this is not going to work because like so many of these things are references to the core. So let's go through and do that. Point position, distance to 0. That's still fine, but it's here. We're just going to want to basically write core dot in front of so many things. Okay, not too many things to put it in front of. And then core.addChild. Oops. Number of circles, grid state, and then activate it as well. Okay, let's see. No, we just have the exact same issue even though that script itself isn't rotating. I wonder why. It's just something in our maths is wrong. Whoa. What's going on with that? Why can't I? That's very strange. Why it was like shooting off to the left like that. Yeah, I think less stars is definitely a thing. Like it's really way too dense. Like, and you can like kind of you can see the. It's so weird. Why? As soon as I press down the middle mouse button, it's like shooting over to the left. Sorry, over to the right. I don't really understand why it's doing that. Okay, let's go through this again. So the top left corner is there. No. What is this alien dude's name? Make. One thing I might try is angle to instead of angle to point, because I wasn't too sure on that, was I? Ah. I mean, it's working a lot worse with angle to instead of angle to point, isn't it? It seems to only be solving for this tiny little layer. So that doesn't work. So I think angle to point was along the right lines. I mean, I have no idea why the middle mouse button's doing that. Maybe because it's stretched. Oh yeah, that might be it. It's just stretched and getting confused about that. Okay. Well, if we go back to input here. I mean, that there is working. But it's always on that part of the... It's always on that part of the thing. It is loading them back in the wrong width. Somehow, sometimes. Or those are getting bugged. They are disappearing. They are unloading them. Yeah, how funny. Suppose they're the ones that are right on the edge. And because the line isn't moving, I think that bug might go away when we get the line static. One thing might be Can you just put an area in the non-visible play space that blocks disappear inside? Yeah. Yeah, I could just think about it in a different way. That would have to be attached to the player, that location. We also still need to recreate them as well. But maybe, yeah, it could be that those are like area 2Ds that exist around the player. But actually, nevertheless, we still have to respawn them, right? So an area that blocks that go into get deleted, sure. But how do we know when to respawn them when there's nothing to detect apart from a grid reference arriving on the screen? I don't really think there's a way around it. You know, we need to be able to detect when one needs to be recreated. So we do need to be checking points in space against the polar grid in order to know when things need to respawn. So let's think about this. The thing that's wrong is not the t value, it's the r value, because hold on, it's the t value, not the r value, because the radius value is working correctly. It's reduced, like when we're jumping on top of it, it's reducing them because we're getting higher, which is like correct. But the t position is wrong. What if we just get rid of the rotation here and we don't include it in the calculation? I think this might do it, you know. Angle to point. We have a typo from when I was pressing D before. Okay, no. Is it still exactly the same problem? It seems to be exactly the same behavior anyway. Because like here it works, you know, perfectly, and then here it's still rotating with the thing. So we're not getting the correct t value. Yeah, Pete, that drawing is like, yep, that is a square. But yeah, like I say, the problem is if we can't really just use areas, because we still got to convert that area into a grid reference for this, you know, for the grid data arrays, because we're storing whether or not a block exists there. We're just not having a entity loaded. So we somehow need to cycle through them. I mean, the other thing that I first started thinking about, remember the core dimensions. Well, the texture I'm currently using was the wrong. I made it a different size and then I've scaled it. It is. It has a radius of 100. It's a circle with a radius of 144. Like 4 sets of 48. Sorry, 3 sets of 48. 3 core layers at 48 pixels a piece. So yeah, its radius is 144. Its diameter is 288. If you make a sprite project 288 by 288 and fill it with a circle, perfect. I think I'm getting close because what did we took out of there? Was rotation there and there, right? So let's think about this for a second. The T position is the modulo. Okay, that's fine. So what this is doing, this is counting. It's saying the number of segments in that particular row multiplied by the rotation over tau. What I find bizarre is that when we removed rotation minus that, like, it didn't change the behavior. That it was still locked in place. Maybe we can just do some trial and error random things, like if we add them together instead of subtracting them. I'm not super confident on this one though. Could the player activate any blocks in the grid references within a certain range? Yeah, so that's not how I'm doing it at the moment, and that was the original thing I was thinking we could do instead. Because my initial thoughts were, what we do is we take the player's T value and we just make all of those visible and we check whether they're on the screen or not. And you just keep going around checking until you find a row where they're all off, and then you don't have to keep going around the circle. You can just switch everything else off. Yeah, and obviously anything that is on the screen is on, but then you're checking every single cell, every single frame, or like at a certain enough of a regularity you have to check every single. And the way I'm trying to do it at the moment is I've just set up a line at the bottom here, like this. At the moment, all I'm doing is is this line here, and don't do it to me, paint, and this line here. I've just set up those two to repeat, and anything that crosses that line is getting, this red one is getting destroyed, and anything that crosses that green one is getting created, if it's not already created and if it's not already destroyed, obviously. And if this works, then it will just be, it'll be arbitrary to just make it do all the lines, and then this is the most efficient way of doing it, because you're just checking the boundaries. It's just some horrible quirk in the maths that I need to get my head around here. And I think it is how the R, I think, is correct. It seems to be affecting which ring of the circle is being rendered and not correctly, but the actual rotation is not correct. So firstly, I don't think these brackets are necessary, and they're making it harder to read. Rotation plus you know, It's almost like we want like a global angle to point or something, probably. Oh, no, hold on. Oh, for fuck's sake, look, we've just missed adding the word core to this when we moved it over. It should just be core and minus like it was before, but it's the core's rotation that it just didn't throw an error at me and I didn't notice. But it's the core's rotation we're interested in there, not the rotation of this fucking brick loader. Right, that's probably going to do it. And we'll know if it's working if we don't see it working. It's not working. It's still doing exactly the same thing, pretty much. Isn't it? It's just stuck in the same area. Or is it rotating around, but just in the wrong way? So it's kind of there. I'm on that little ridge of the thing now. It comes round again. Okay, yeah, so it's rotating around, but like wrong. So yeah, maybe a plus. No. But yeah, it is behaving differently now. And it might be it's the angle minus the rotation as well. That's probably quite a likely scenario. There's nothing like a bit of trial and error. Nope. But how does this one behave? Wait, it's always in the wrong place. It's always directly underneath it. We're nearly there. We are fucking well nearly there. If they're both minus, like if it's that minus, if it's the inverse of that angle basically. Oh, this looks promising, doesn't it? I can see them kind of. Yeah, I think it's working. Don't you think it's working? I think it's working. That you can just about see them appearing at the bottom there. This is fucking wicked. Yeah. Look at this. Oh, fucking dude. Oh, I feel pretty smug about that. That feels like I'm a real programmer now, right? Look at how they're just all like loading in and out. Yeah, come on. That's some good shit. That is some good shit. And let's keep watching this actually, because if I go round and around and around, we should. Oh no, because I'm only doing a bottom row, aren't I? Yes, we need to add in all the other rows. But look, yeah, it's even going to come to the point where it's not even loading the ones. You know, it's like it will go it will just literally only be the ones that are within the screen that it shows. So it's like even going to like go beyond the core. Okay, sick. And this is definitely like some messy code, right? Because there's so much stuff being repeated. This is not like the best way to do it, but it's gonna work. And all we've got to do now is add in six more for loops. So it's also going to be, it's going to become more expensive doing this. So we may need to make efficiencies into it yet. But one efficiency I see, for example, is taking it in turns. Like it can handle doing 2 of them every frame right now. If we add in all 8 and it can't handle all 8 edges, because we have 8 edges. We've got like the 4 green ones and the 4 red ones. If it can't handle all 8, then we just do 1 per frame. Like, or 2 per frame. We can do 2 per frame. So like having the process of updating that take 4 frames is going to be fine because the player's not moving that fast. Okay, sweet. So let's organize these a little more. So what we're going to do is make 4 copies of this one for all 4 of the walls, and that's like the bottom wall. And then we want to do probably the top wall, which is another 72, where we just don't add 880 to the Y. And that's like just it. And then we want to take one of these where we're going 44 points instead. And the point position is going to be top left X, but it's top left Y, where we add the multiplier instead. So every time this increments, we're going to go like that. And that's probably the only changes we need to make, because we're just changing what point we're checking each time. And then this one's going to be like similar to the first one we did, where the only difference is that the X is going to have like its whole 1440 added onto it. There. In the same way that one had its 880 to make it be like the right hand side of the screen, not the left hand side of the screen. And then we save that, and then we've got to just do the same for these guys. So there'll be 75 where we don't add that, and then there'll be a 47, and in the 47 we'll be adding to the Y coordinate, not the X. And then there's one where we have the full 1500 added on the X. Yeah, and I did 880, 1440, 940, and then the 1500. Yeah, okay, I think that should be all the loading in and out we need. Janus. We've got a raider. Thanks so much. Sorry, I just clocked that. Nice one. Good night and good luck. You're finishing your day. Cool. Have you been doing game dev as well? What's the haps? Let's see if this works now. I think this should be good, and we can give it a good old test now. So we'll zoom right out, and yeah, just go for it. Let's just make it like a huge grid. I want to be able to see all 4 sides of the screen working. It's unnerving when like they don't come back, because you think, oh, was it supposed to be there? because you naturally create like craters and stuff just by trying to jump up the ledges that you've left from the single jumps you have to make, like at the end of each layer even. I want to start seeing them being cut off the left and right edges just to really prove to myself it's working. Oh, I'm not gonna lie, guys. I'm really fucking chuffed with this. So satisfying knowing that we can now just fucking make the game endless is very good. And I can always switch back to the regular camera here, right? And see what it looks like to the player. You can see them kind of loading in down there, so we could make it a little larger. I think that's probably still fine. I don't know how many players will notice that really. Oh no, game over. Just as I was about to get to the edges that I wanted to make. Come on, but this is one of those situations where it's bugged out and the poor player. You're doing a roguelite. Nice, nice. A song demo in WhatsApp. Oh, sweet. Could get rid of the animation on respawn. Yeah, that's true. That's true, actually. That might not be difficult. Why I keep typing a D into the thing. Yours looks cool. Thanks. So yeah, the point is like that you're gonna be building a planet. We basically just need to add things for you to dodge now. Like reasons. We need to give the player reasons to run and reasons to jump. And as long as the player has reasons to run and jump, there'll be all this emergent kind of chaos coming from the fact that wherever you step, you leave new platforms behind you, right? Yeah, he definitely trips over that particular one, and then we get a nice running animation again. But there's that one layer where the particular angles of how we've built it are just not playing nice. Have a new core. Oh, wicked. Yeah, let's get all the art looking tight now then, and then tomorrow will be all day. I can just work on the enemy, knowing now that we have like a really scalable system here. Okay, we might need to just close up some of these caverns here. Yeah, look how the coloring is all wrong on these layers. It thinks the player is on a different layer than they really are there, I think, or something is happening. Anyway, whatever. The player's kind of got out of sync somehow. Oh, it just synced back, look. I mean, it doesn't really matter at all, to be honest. Yeah, if I was to like go 2D, get the camera out, zoom out a bit. Yeah, look at that. Look at this, is so good. All of those that would have been there just munching CPU power are gone, buddy. Oh, yes, look at it. It's a thing of beauty. Maybe the proudest I've ever been of making something. Different star layers. Oh yeah, that's cool. If the background was like in rings, right? Yeah, that would make a lot of sense. So then you see new backgrounds the higher you get. That makes a lot of sense, doesn't it? Come on, I really want to start seeing the left and right edges being cut off here. Go back to the regular camera. It should be happening, but it doesn't look like it is. but maybe we just haven't gone off the screen to the left and right by far enough yet. Oh yeah, look, there we go. It's starting to happen on the left and right edges now. Can you see that? I mean, is it? I think it is. Yeah, they're still only just off the edge, to be fair. You can see it there. You can see it there. It's not just a line here, because there would be more segments on the left there. The overall shape is not changing at all, so it's working. Yeah. I think we just won the jam. This was it. This was the breakthrough we needed. Because now this game can get huge. Like the player can make absolutely enormous planets. The trick will be loading them all back in right at the end to zoom out and show the player their whole planet. Might have to take them to a loading screen for that. Or I'll build another renderer that renders the grid data for that sort of shot at the end there. Yeah, you can really see how it's cutting a square out now. I'm gonna see how far we can get with this. Oh shit, I don't want to fall into my own cavern though. See, look, it's starting to get like rough. Even though I'm trying to make it as easy as possible for myself, that whole mess is just the hangover from the jump I was forced to do at the beginning when I finished the first layer, right? I bet that cavern goes down near to like the core of the planet. I bet I bet you could jump in there, and maybe that for my renderer for this whole loading and unloading thing, that would be a good experiment to do later. We'll fall down the hole. And just to prove the point, here is what the normal player with the normal player's camera would be seeing right now. We just see their world coming round the corner. Jump into the hole to destroy your own planet. It's like that could be one of the things where, like, if Break gets a missile down one of those holes, you're stuffed, right? So you might have to jump down the holes to repair it back up. I'm trying to tidy this up a little bit here. That looks good. Like Tetris, you got to clean up your holes, you know. I mean, we must be getting close to 40 layers now, no? Once they start to go green, when we're coming, start to go slightly blue tinged, we're coming to the limits of the grid I've asked it to draw. Yeah, look at the way it did that. That was wicked. What happens if we're looking at it in normal mode and I jump down the hole? Do we kind of see? It wasn't too bad. Yeah, there's definitely some glitches that seem to only occur on one half of the first layer. Who knows why that is? I bet it's an off by one error somewhere. It's probably not massively important. Are you talking about destructible tray? Oh my god, no. What I think we can do, because we're not modeling gravity in any of this anyway. But we can definitely have the dude drop bombs and destroy tiles. That could definitely happen. Oh yeah, the song. Okay, let's go. Nice. Let's have that again. Yeah, man. I like it. I like it a lot. Put D in there again by mistake. So it's crazy. We're doing this 72 loop. We're doing 2 loops of 72, 2 loops of 44, 2 loops of 75, 2 loops of 47. Every frame. It's quite a lot. But yeah, I love the vibe of the tune, man. That's cool. It's like got that kind of ancient, yeah, ancient aliens, but in space. I wonder if you could even like you see that the flute, the doo-doo-doo. I wonder what it would be like if that was more like a spacey synth, like, and get because the boom 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 is bringing that like ancient, civilization vibes, and then having that lead line instead of being a flute being like a spacey synth might be like the cool way to kind of make it feel like more high tech or something. I don't know. And yeah, it could still be performed like an ancient flute. Exactly. Yeah, with the vibrato or whatever. Anyway, boom. That is a big win. So I'm gonna put a cross in the brick loader, and there's this less strict brick spawning thing. This is kind of more like a bit of a bug that needs looking at, but I mean, we could just quickly look at it. It's just gone midnight, and some rest tonight would be a good move for me, because then I'll probably be going much harder tomorrow. There's probably a limit to how productive I'm going to be between now and 2 in the morning, versus saving energy. Because literally tomorrow I've got an errand or two to run in the morning at 9-10 o'clock. Probably start streaming again actually at 11 tomorrow rather. I ended up getting a bit held up this morning and starting at 1, but it started at 11-12 streaming, probably working it a bit before that anyway. Yeah, start the streaming at 11 or 12 and go through. I think I can go through all day as well. I could go from the afternoon into the evening as one solid stream. We'll see. We shall see. But yeah, so the thing that I think is the problem with this less strict brick spawning is the weakness is right here. The way that we do this is we basically we're rounding the player's position to the nearest grid position. And then we're saying, well, if there's no brick there, then you can make one. And I believe the problem is that the way that we do this, our position here, is like being rounded, and we're sometimes like a fraction, like maybe a few pixels off, because our layers aren't actual perfect circles, they're made of polygons. So there are points on the sort of surface of what these curves where the polygons meet, and you've got points that are like higher up than the actual radius of that particular layer is. So then you have the player kind of stuck in these positions where they're like being rounded to the wrong radial like layer or whatever, right? It's really in very marginal cases, and it's rare. So it is just like a little bug that would be good to solve, but I don't want to hurt myself over it. Well, we've got works. Oh look, the whole time, yeah, it was minus core rotation minus pi. So then in here, where we ended up getting, we actually switched their order, which doesn't need to be switched. The real problem was that when I deleted the word core, I didn't take note of the fact it was minus core. So I was totally right. The whole thing just could have been copied. And it was when I deleted core, I must have deleted minus core. And then when I put it back in, I didn't put the minus back in. I had to learn to work it out again. Okay, whatever. It works. But that's kind of funny. Okay, this interests me. Let's try and do this. Let's try and texture the bricks. Bricks sheet. Do we still use this wedge resource? I think we do. I'm not convinced we do actually. Let me delete it. Fingers crossed that doesn't just crash everything. Yeah, no, I don't think we were using it anymore. Oh yeah, man. Okay, this is good shit. So yeah, let's try and get some of these textures in here then. So what we're saying is that this polygon should be textured, which we can do here. So these are in a sheet. Is this how you do it? I have no idea. Can I make this snap? Oh. let's just try that, I suppose, for now. It's kind of cool, right? I don't know if the color is being still modulated or not. I think it might be. Let's go a few layers higher to check. Maybe it's not. No, I guess when the texture's on, the texture's just on. The pattern's too dense, yeah. The thing is, the tiles themselves are very small, right? So it's almost like what we really need, I think, would be lots of variants of each. Say like 5 to 10 variants of each, and we just pick a random one and apply it to this in script. Because if it was the perfect size, then I don't think we'd need the UVs and bones and everything. I don't know. I might be wrong about that. But if we set it up so the UVs were just perfectly for, like, you know, a singular texture that was that shape, and then we could just change exactly what file was in, that'd be cool. Yeah. Anyway, I think I might knock it on the head for today, actually. That's like another 3-hour stream. We did a 4-hour one earlier, and I did probably about an hour and a half this morning before I started streaming anyway. So it's been a good old day. Nursed this beer throughout a 3-hour stream, for the slowest I've ever drunk a beer in my life. Still about half left. But that's because I was so engaged, so keen to write this ridiculous block of code that has saved us. So let's we push it a bit. So what if we made 60 layers? It just still is fine, because all it has to do is generate some huge arrays at the beginning. Okay. What if it was 100 layers? Because we don't have to draw any of the points anymore or anything like that. So it's just a little load to just make these huge arrays ready to store the data in. But it's never going to have to deal with them at scale because of the way we're loading and unloading them, and we're just checking these kind of boundaries that they cross. We're never having to actually loop through the whole array. So it's kind of arbitrary. What if it was 1,000 layers? Yeah, it's a nice old load now to make a huge array. But once it's made the huge 1,000 layer array, it fucking just works. And it runs at the same exact speed. Fuck yeah. I mean, that's pretty good, isn't it? I'd like to sort out that third layer as well, how he can't properly run on it. How the animation gets like starts tripping over the... There's one small change we could make that is going to be hacky, but we're adding 2 pixels. What if we only had 1 pixel? So maybe it's just a bit tighter. They still touch each other. They still touch each other. All of these segments are just 1 pixel less wide now. Hey, he still trips over those though. Okay, so it doesn't actually solve that problem. But I do believe if we don't plus the 1 there, what we end up with is some gaps. You can hardly see the gaps, to be fair. He still trips over on that one though. Yeah, and the third one. So actually, having the +2 made the second one better. What, the +3 is probably too many. Let's keep it on +2. The shape of the block could have a curve on it. Yeah. Yeah. Because, you know, we're defining its height based on its peak. So actually what's happening is the edges of the block are too high. The middle of the block should be as high as it is, and the edges should be slightly below. The problem is that that angle that they should be like changes every layer. So another very more precise way of doing it would be what we discussed in it, where we actually, when we create these bricks, we actually define like every point on it, calculated as a proper segment piece, you know. But I think for the jam, I think we've got it good enough now, personally. And I mean, we don't need to be generating 1,000 layers. No one's going to play the game for that long. But also, I would be nervous about somebody crashing it because they played for so long. But like 100 layers, for example, only takes that amount of time to load. And I mean, I've tried to get to 40 to crash it, and it's hard, right? If we've got like things shooting you and things going wrong, you know. But we can't have the animation flopping like that on the second and third laps. We're going to lose points. It just looks bad, right? So I do need to deal with it. Yeah, to add layers as you progress, mate. Yeah, yeah. That's not a bad shout. I'd have to work out how to do that because we sort of set up the grid in one big instigation process here. But yeah, I guess another add 10 to grid function wouldn't take long to knock up, actually. So it's a really good shout. Okay. You've added the core. Let's throw that into the mix. And then I'm going to go to bed. Ooh, yeah, nice. That does look like a planet's core. So I think the sprite is going to be scaled some horrible amount. So we'll put that back to 0. Because that's the original sprite I made, and then I end up making it a little bit bigger, and then we'll put core in there instead, which does fill the space, and then we can delete the draft core out of the project. Oh wait, hold on, first we've got to save this, and then we can delete it so it doesn't care if we do. That does look cool. Yeah, man, it's going to be sweet when like every single piece like when we do load of rows and then it changes to a different block type at a certain point. Again, I'm thinking it's like Tetris. It's like you're completing lines, and every time you complete 5 lines or something, you level up. Or maybe we level up after every line, but every 5 or 10 lines. Or what is it in Tetris? Is it every 10 lines is when it speeds up. You get points for every line, but every 10 lines it speeds up, and the blocks will change the colors and change their palette, right? So it'd be like that. every few rows the whole palette of what you're laying down changes, and I guess you start reaching different background sky textures as well, right? Can see the bottom deloading, like un and reloading, so I might have to slightly tweak that. Yeah, that bottom row, for some reason, when it gets reloaded by the brick loader, looks a bit funky, doesn't it? We could work on that bug a bit tomorrow. But we'll have loads of time tomorrow, my god. And the main priority will be finishing the gameplay loop. I don't think I want to do too many bug fixes tomorrow. I want to like get the gameplay loop going properly and get a build onto itch so we can test it in browser and see like if the optimization was enough. I mean, it feels like it's going to be pretty fun. Once we add some tried and tested gameplay tropes, like being shot at and having health and dodging bullets, I think this is going to be quite fun. So that will be tomorrow. Tomorrow will be all those things. Obstacles, projectiles, the enemy, destroying terrain, and then to test build. Gonna have the enemy shit ready. Yeah, cool. Well, let's do that tomorrow. It's enemy time tomorrow. And I'm gonna hit the hay. One cheeky thing. Go on. You twist my arm. One cheeky thing. I'm up for it. Tell me about your cheekiness. Do you want to implement a music loop and see if it plays backwards when you change direction? We can try it. Have you got a loop? Alright, sweet. Send me the thing. So where would we want to put that? I guess again it's the player who has to control this. Should we put some of these parallax effects back in? Let's put the nebula like at something ridiculous like, yeah, 20. Didn't we have a 20? Why don't we go for 15 and 8? I mean, that does look better than everything like just still. But it does also make it feel like but I guess it's like, I mean, the planet could be moving through space as well. And if we have asteroids like in the foreground shooting you, things moving around that are shooting you in the foreground too. It'll be very interesting. The asteroids are actually going to be a real pain in the ass, I'm thinking, because they're going to have to move, they're going to have to rotate with the core, right? Everything is going to, like, in order for your movement to be sold, if the projectile coming down here, when we move, it's got to go over like that. So it's going to be quite a lot of maths. Right, in the WhatsApp. Okay. Nice loop. So, you want the speed of the playback to be affected by the speed of the player. I must admit, I don't have high hopes for this. I feel like it's going to be a strange effect, but who knows? We don't have any acceleration on the player's movement either, so I guess it's just going to be playing forwards or being quiet or playing backwards, pretty much, depending on how the player moves. I guess for now, for the test, we'll just put it on the player. Music test. Load the folder for music. And then we want to look at the import settings for it and set it to forwards. Oh, interesting. Ping pong. I guess we just want forwards. And then oh yeah, wait, how do we play it backwards then? Either way, if we press autoplay, we should just have it now. Yeah, we do. So that's kind of fun just in itself. It loops very nicely. Definitely want a coyote jump. Keep jumping off edges. Falling off edges, rather. Why don't the ones at the bottom get made at the correct thickness? So off by one error, I think, somewhere. So yeah, how would we go about if this was set to backwards and we re-import it? Okay. And it sounds pretty cool backwards, right? So there's playback speed, yeah, but it's the pitch scales there. I mean, maybe there's more to it in the documentation. Playback type. Oh, that's the stream sample. Oh wait, I closed that. I wanted to keep this one open. But also the fact that whether we play it forwards or backwards is defined by the loop itself. Like, I can't, you know, I can't. Ping pong means it goes forwards, when it gets to the end it goes backwards. So yeah, I think we can easily what I feel like I need to do, which seems counterintuitive, is like duplicate this guy and call this one like rev. Okay, so now we've got the rev one, which is there, and this one is forwards. Okay, and then the player can have two of these, and the reverse one goes in there, the forward one's there, and the reverse one is not auto-played necessarily. In fact, like, neither of them are auto-played. It just seems mad that I can't just scrub back and forth, forwards and backwards on a one thing. But it does also seem like we can't do that. I mean, does pitch scale take minus numbers? No, it doesn't. So yeah, that's not a thing. Pitch scale should probably take minus numbers. Like -1 would be playing it backwards at normal speed, and minus 0.5 would be playing it backwards at half speed, and a pitch scale of 0 would be like just still. That would make a lot of sense to me, but it seems we have to have them both going, and then there's just going to have to be some kind of crazy function. Like, whenever the player moves, we kind of go, okay, well, do you want to go forwards or do you want to go backwards, kind of thing, right? Maybe what we want to do is we want music test always playing, autoplay, and then like the player can, like, maybe when the player's still, it should still be playing forwards, but only when you walk backwards do we just start going. So if the direction's greater than 0, then we're going to the right. Yeah, so it's this one here, where it's only when this is happening in here. It's kind of complicated because we don't, this is being called every frame, so it's actually, we just want to trigger the backwards until such a time that the player stops moving. So we just want to say, like, whenever this is happening, like if music test rev so is stopped or something, or is playing, is it called is playing? Playing. If it's not playing, then we want to take music test dot get playback position. Except the fucking files are the other way around, so it's like we need the inverse of the playback position. This is such a cumbersome thing. Yeah, it needs to start in the right place. This is what I mean, but it's so cumbersome because we can't just get the playback position of this guy because we're starting to play what we like. I'm sure you get what I'm saying, right? Given from position in seconds. Okay, and this is a 12-second loop, was it? Where do we see it's like stats? 12.31 seconds. Okay, so we're gonna have to say whatever that playback position is 12.31 minus that playback position. So we say if it's not playing, then play it from 12.31 minus how far that one had got through itself, right? And then also stop the original one. And then if the direction is going the other way, and also else, like if direction is just not there anyway, so like here, if the normal music test is not playing, then play it in the inverse of the rev playback position and stop the rev one, and also do that if we just simply stop moving. It's kind of cool. But it doesn't seem to be working. We're not getting the woo-doo-doo. I have no idea why that doesn't work, so try it without subtracting. Play from position. Given from position in seconds, and then get, or am I using get playback position? Returns the position of the audio stream of the latest sound in seconds. Note, the position is not always accurate. You'd think it would be accurate enough though. So if we just get rid of the 12.31, you mean, and just take it from the position it's sat? I want to wait for the... It just seems like it's starting it from... Oh, it seemed like it worked there. Yo, Shaman, how's it going? Yo, where's the loop? So the loop is the planet. It's a looping platform game where the planet that you build by creating it becomes your own platform game. Something like that. You know, so if we do lots of jumping, then next time around we've got to dodge our own jumps to not lose speed. So we're going to have enemies chasing you around and shooting things at you, and all the while you're trying to escape, you're trying to sort of make platforms that are going to be easy to use next time. No, see, I don't think playing them at the same time from the start will work, because we've had to import them. One of them's like backwards to the other. It's not like we're just scrubbing along and then moving back again. If we play them both from the start, then like the one that's going forwards will start at the beginning and go forwards. The one that's going backwards will start at the backwards and will start at the end and go backwards, like that. So then they won't be lined up. Obviously they'll both be playing forwards, but I wonder where, because we've imported it as backwards, I wonder how good it deals with those playback positions. Yeah, not sure. You're your own enemy. I dig it. Yeah, that kind of vibe. Exactly. It's going to be a lot of. You're going to have to do a lot of forward planning. Each loop round. Because even just the jump that you're forced to do to go up to the next level, starts to sort of escalate, right? Into like a big mess, a big hole. Because every time you come round, you got to jump over the place that you jumped last time. And then if we have other objects forcing you to jump and go, oh shit, and go back like that to grab something or to dodge a bullet or, you know, whatever it is, falling obstacles, then suddenly you come back round the loop and now we're like, oh no, it's like proper platforming here. And then again, next time that's going to be even harder. So yes, that's the plan. As for this music thing, I might have to pick it up again tomorrow. We could get into like printing the playback position the whole time to see how it does it, and yeah, but I might have to throw in the towel for tonight. Adding the glide might be cool. Yeah, I do think the more powerful we can make the player's platforming abilities, the better. And give them a double jump ability sometimes with limited uses. Obviously coyote and like but jump buffering we need to add. Maybe an edge grab, that kind of thing. But yeah, I think I'm gonna go to bed now. Pretty knackered, and it's been a good old sort of 8-9 hours I've worked on this game today. Yeah, good progress, huh? The that's also, I'm just gonna get rid of the reverse one for now, and let's just have the music nicely playing in the background. Autoplay, that's cool. I don't know, like minus, not minus 32, like minus 3 or minus 6 or something for now is probably good on that. And then yeah, I'll just get rid of these bits of logic for now. It's probably worth, like, when I tackle the audio, actually creating some sort of dedicated audio playing device or something. But I think that should still just play it. And then let's just gotta pick some items. You need to think where to build. Yeah, exactly. But I just want to marvel at my creation again for today, one last time. Let's take a little zoom out here and just have a look at our brick loader. See, it's already in action there. So satisfying. Oh no, I've stuck myself in that. Okay, good, I'm out. Am I out? Yeah, okay. I feel like a proper grown-up programmer now. Oh yeah, it fucking works. And then obviously the player, they're just seeing this. Yeah, boy. Yeah, definitely the loop line we can add some kind of like, yeah, like layer of like, I don't know, comes over the screen and like as you pass it, it's like sting! That kind of vibe. But yeah, cool. I'm gonna love you and leave you lot and say thanks for watching and tune in again tomorrow. Again, I'm off work all day. Bish, bash, bish to the bosh. We'll do another very long day and get this thing really cooking. By the end of tomorrow, we want to have all the obstacles, projectiles, enemy, destroying terrain, and get a build onto itch. So we can just mess around with it and see how it's feeling. So, yeah. Exciting times. Thank you for watching, one and all. And if you don't follow or subscribe, then you can always follow and subscribe. Twitch, YouTube, all the good things. And yeah, I'll see you tomorrow. Be excellent to each other. Peace. Big ups. Blup, blup, blup. Pat, pat, pat. Pow, pow, pow. Good night.